They moved the button.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of One Fall WrestleCast Live. Tom and I are back with a banger today. Got so many things to talk about. So many things to talk about. Happy Veterans Day to all of our active duty military and retired. We appreciate you. Thank you for making sure that we are able to live the lives that we live today. Hey man, we're just gonna go ahead. We're gonna jump right into this bad mamma jamma, and gonna be a good time.
Welcome to the One Fall WrestleCast.
What's up,
Give me
bro?
still. Nothing. It's fucking Monday.
It's Monday.
Fucking everywhere and nowhere all at the same time.
Agreed.
Somehow I did that. I don't know how.
Oh man, today's been a wild one. Wild one.
I just had to run everybody around. Evie had basketball practice, and so
I had to work this morning. Generally Monday is my day off, but due to serving those that have served us, I had to work for a few hours today, which is dope. Today is a dope day in my industry, and
because you guys get to do all the cool veteran stuff.
Yes. Today is
I remembered that it was Veterans Day when I got an email that said if I was a veteran, which I am not, I would get a floating holiday, which I don't get because I'm not a veteran, so there's that. But it is cool because I know you guys get to do all kind of fun stuff for Veterans Day, and I'm sure you gave some veterans some steak today, which is always always sure appreciated.
Yes, very much so. Today was a dope day. So did the work thing, came home. Actually, did the work thing. I went and on Saturday a new pair of Jordans came out that I just had to have, and
oh boy.
I went and procured said Jordans this afternoon. And then I came home, and now here I am, and ready to talk some wrestling with you. Plenty of things to talk about.
I've been fighting off the urge to buy a third guitar for this year, so
I mean, you got to do what makes you happy, bud. You know what I'm saying?
But I also got to refinance the house, so there's that.
I didn't necessarily need said pair of Jordans.
Yeah, but the Jordans weren't like $700.
Yeah, no,
$800. I mean, it's on sale. It's like $300 off, for being honest, but it's still like $300 off, like $1,000, which is a lot. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I didn't buy it yet, but I'm, sitting here itching.
So I want to start off this week. Friend of the show, SRS, Sean Ross Sapp, shortly after we came off the air last week, had sent out a little Twix, a little communicationary device. And I feel that we need to start here because it'll bring us full circle to our episode from last week. And SRS goes on to say there were some incorrect rumors this weekend that Becky Lynch had asked WWE for $2 million, and WWE said no, which led to her absence. Sources from all sides not only said it was false, and sources on the WWE side claim the number would likely be way more.
Yeah. Like Kevin Owens makes $5 million. And so, yeah, Becky's is at least on that level, I suppose. Once you actually sit and think about it, you go, yeah, probably. Especially now because TKO is just like WWE is just making money hand over fist. So they got to protect their biggest people. And whatever money Becky wants, I'm sure it's not a money thing with Becky. I think she just wants to be, because if it was, somebody would have paid her and we'd be seeing her right now. I don't think that's what it is.
Well, I've got to imagine that we're going to be, if we're WWE, that we're going to do whatever it takes to possibly bring the cornerstone of our women's division back. I know I said last week that, maybe the rose might be off the bloom, so to speak, with Becky and where we're at in present day 2024 with the WWE women's division being just so chocked full of top tier talent. But man, I feel like Becky Lynch still has so much to offer. And to not give her a proper contract and a proper look at 2024 and beyond, at this point, 2025 and beyond, I think is an injustice that the fans cannot turn a blind eye to.
Well, and I think too that we say this all the time, or they say this all the time every time somebody new goes to AEW. Oh, they're a game changer. Becky Lynch legitimately is a game changer. Like it would be, the only things that would be bigger, the only WWE wrestlers that would be bigger going to AEW would be somebody like Roman Reigns or the return of Cody Rhodes, something to that effect. That's really the only bigger star that could be like an immediate impact like that. So I don't think that it's a money thing. Also, I agree with you. I don't think that WWE would just let her go. I think it's just she wants some time off. We were very privy to the information. I guess it was when Rhea got hurt or whatever, when somebody got hurt, where Charlotte got hurt, I guess, that they called Becky back and she'd only been gone for like a year. They called Becky back, right after she, got done with the baby and all that stuff. Cause obviously you can't wrestle while you're pregnant and then you have the child and you need some time. They got her right back like within 12 months. And she was looking to take a much more extended time off at that point, and then that time back turned into an NXT run and a couple of other things, a world title run, and then so I think this is sort of just that built up I'm taking a long break and I need to get to this before my child is 10, so
yes.
I think that's really what this is. And I don't think that I would give any credence to any rumors that say, oh, Becky's going here, or Becky didn't re-sign for this reason or whatever. I think this is just time off. Becky's been a mainstay since she showed up in the WWE, even when she wasn't the man. And at the top of the card, she was absolutely a constant performer, both on NXT and then on SmackDown when she was first drafted there. She was the first ever women's SmackDown champion, let's not forget. And she's been a pretty consistent performer ever since then and always in a pretty consistent storyline. So the fact that she's actually now getting to take some time off, I think is really, and probably more by design than anything else. And like you had said earlier, the women's division is better now than it ever had. It's stacked. So they don't need her there, so she can take the time off. That being said, she's going to come back at some point, and the roof's going to blow off whatever building they're in.
I imagine it's going to be in Indianapolis at the Royal Rumble. I believe
that makes sense to me too.
I believe that we're probably going to get the return of one Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch in that women's Royal Rumble.
Will it be one after the other?
I would be surprised if we don't see both of them. I will be completely and utterly shocked if we don't see either of them. I just don't know where the women's division as we know it now today would be without those two women. And obviously Bayley and Sasha Banks, the original four horsewomen, that becomes a very, very big arguable debate. But as of right now, if we want to take a big snapshot picture at the women's division in pro wrestling as a whole, TNA's women's division continues to just be a shining star of development.
The knockouts division really has always sort of carried that torch Even when WWE's division goes through ebbs and flows, the Knockouts division is always like kind of holding like some aces.
Well, most of their aces are now in the NXT deck, with the addition of Julia and what is pondered to be Jordynne Grace, because I mean, I feel like she's on NXT television more nowadays than she is TNA television. She just dropped the TNA Knockouts World Championship. I believe that we are very much in a situation where it is sooner rather than later that Jordynne Grace makes the full move to WWE full time, straight to the main roster, might even win the Royal Rumble. Write that down. I said that.
I would almost say that they'd give her a short stint in NXT, and make her the NXT Women's Champion, and then yes, I agree. I don't think it would be a long stint there, but have her carry that title for a couple of months. Have Julia or even Stephanie Vaquer beat her for it at some point, and then immediately bring her up to the main roster and put her in a program with Charlotte Flair, put her in a program with Becky. I mean, I think that's kind of, Jordynne Grace has kind of been an up and comer and somebody who's been on everybody's radar for quite a few years now. And I think that, immediately throwing the Juggernaut in with the Man or with the Queen would be, something that fans have kind of wanted to see for a long time. Yeah. And I think, giving her a little NXT run and then immediately throwing her in at the top of the card with one of them. Doesn't even have to be for a title. They can just have a little feud like, hey, you can't just come in here and step all over everybody and, let them do a month or two long program and beat the shit out of each other. And I think that could be something really, really fun to watch.
Absolutely. And, I mentioned Bayley earlier and I mentioned Sasha Banks, AKA Mercedes Moné. I would be remiss if we didn't continue down this rabbit hole a little bit. And it's like, you watch AEW and you watch the AEW women, specifically Mercedes Moné. Man, it's a tough watch.
They keep letting her talk, and that was never really her strong suit. Not that
she tried to hit her and fucking Camille tried to hit Chris Statlander with a car on Wednesday.
They did, yes.
And then she got her ass beat, and and now there's clearly some dissension in the ranks between her and Camille because you fucking missed her, you missed her, kid. I just don't. Mercedes is a miss.
I think that it kind of shows that she's not able to really book herself, and I don't think there was.
Yeah, but she's got Jen Pepperman in her back pocket, who we put over on this show as this uber talented producer creative type that came from WWE that went to AEW to help. And I've got to say that outside of Mercedes Moné, who is her, Jen Pepperman is supposed to be her personal writer, her personal creative, it's not good.
No, it's not good. And it's it becomes a thing that's kind of hard to watch every week because they've pivoted so much lately. And I think that's really sort of the problem is that it's not even that it's not good. It's that something starts and that doesn't work and they immediately abandon it and then they move to something else, but the character stays the same. And so
CEO.
Yeah, and then you get kind of random feuds in there where it's you've only got so many women and you're just kind of mishmashing them in weird ways. And it just doesn't I'm not really sure why Mercedes Moné is mad at Chris Statlander and trying to hit her with a car. I thought they were both heels currently, but apparently I'm wrong.
I don't. There's no heels and baby faces in AEW.
Right. Well, at least not in. Well, that's the problem is that there is until they do something that doesn't make sense, and then they're like, "There's no heels or baby faces." And then it's well, then it's dumb, and it is dumb because Mercedes can't cut a promo to save her life. Camille is being wasted in what is, turn the channel when that comes on because it's not something that's worth watching. I don't understand why they keep giving her the mic in like 5 minutes. Like they never did that in WWE. And
do you know why they're giving her the mic in 5 minutes?
Because it's in her contract.
No, because there's a lot of zeros in her contract, and they want to make sure that they're getting the best ROI that they possibly can. And for those of you not that may or may not be invested in the business world, ROI is the signification of return on investment. And they've made a substantial investment in Mercedes Moné, and they have gotten little to no return.
They get channel changes right now is what's happening, and that's not just me saying it. That's verifiable. They look, oh, here's the start of Mercedes Moné promo. Here's the end of that. Up, 4,000 people shut the TV off.
And that continues to be an issue, despite the fact that I feel like AEW's programming is getting better.
I mean, part of it is, some of it is.
It's becoming
it's starting to get back to that point. Remember where like when they started and they would have the best segment of the week and also the absolute worst segment of the week?
Yes.
It's getting closer back to that. Not maybe it doesn't hit the highs or the lows. It's sort of evened out a little bit.
There is a whole lot of storytelling going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just random cold matches. They are trying to put a story together and say something, and with backstage segments and people cutting promos. But I feel like the problem is that like a story ends and it's like, well, that's done, and we cut it off and we move on. And I think maybe the problem is roster bloat more than anything else. Somebody gets there.
Well, I mean, that argument could be made about both major companies.
I mean, it really could be, but like it's sort of like somebody gets their story in, and then it's like, all right, let's move on. Like with Bryan Danielson with the Mox thing, ripped it off a Swerve real quick. He defended it once or twice. Was a champ for like a month and a half, and immediately gets beat by Mox and has to retire from full-time action. And it's like, we took it off Swerve for that. And, I think they really wanted to do this Jon Moxley thing and Death Riders and all that. And they feel like this is their NWO. And
which has been really compelling, actually.
It has been. I think it's a great spot for Marina Shafir. I don't like Wheeler Yuta, but I liked his turn to join back with them. I think Claudio's been a menace, and that's been great. Same thing with Pac. Pac's been a menace. I love that Pac, like when everybody else is not in ring gear, Pac just shows up in ring gear ready.
Yeah, he's kind of always been that way, though, right? Like I don't think that he's ever been like shown in street clothes or anything like that. And to continue to like dig in on the Death Riders, I don't know how much Busted Open Radio you consume in a week. In a week, a month, a year.
Whatever clips I find on Instagram and or Twitter.
It's a pretty good standby for me. Like I have a pretty solid rotation of podcasts that I listen to on my 2 hours of worth of commute every single day. And sometimes I get into Busted Open, and there's some really good things that get discussed on there. And then there's some hot takes and some things. This one in particular really, really grabbed my attention. And I actually heard it on the air, and then I saw it.
I do appreciate that he watches a ton of wrestling.
Yes.
Like I really like that he watches all of it. Not only does he watch it, like he watches it and like takes notes, and like it's a very and he watches all of it too. It's not just because he'll comment on Raw, he'll comment on SmackDown, he'll comment on Dynamite, and even on like Collision sometimes. Like,
when you're on the air six days a week, 3 hours a day, you have to mind your P's and Q's.
Yeah, like he's watching all the shows.
So I bring this up because Bully Ray had suggested recently that AEW should incorporate some domestic issues between Jon Moxley and Renee Paquette. He says if you want to bring this to the edge, obviously Moxley verbally shuts her down. But if Renee puts her hands on Jon and Jon swats her hand away, I'd go further with this. Trust me. But I'm going to keep it very 2024. Jon takes her hands and says, "Take your hands off of me." Could you imagine how much people would dislike Moxley for talking down to his wife and implying that he could get physical with her? Now you have hatred. Now, if you have the scenario where Kingston comes back, Eddie Kingston, and he's the savior, now they'll want to see Kingston kill Moxley.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I don't know that that's a storyline that we'll get on AEW, especially, or a story that we'll get in 2024 or 2025, period. I think that would be, I think that's dangerous because you have a chance that has the potential of kind of murdering the man's whole remainder of his career. And so I think that's too dangerous of a thing to do in 2025. I think maybe that would have worked in 2002, but 2024, 2025, that's not. I see what he's saying, but there's too much potential for that to go wrong.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And, I think that while the thought process is good, we're talking about a guy that came up in ECW and the Attitude Era of WWE. Yeah. And while Bully Ray's really and I mean, he was the poster child for TNA and the Aces and Eights and, their motorcycle biker gang. He's been, a stalwart through a lot of these more edgy type promotions and edgy type stories. Obviously his involvement with the Dudley Boys and Mae Young and, the TLC matches and just the violence that he's been a part of throughout his career. To me, this isn't far-fetched of an idea coming from Bully Ray, but I think from the standpoint of the year 2024, where everything is just so PC and everything is just you can't even walk down the street without offending somebody. I don't know that this is the play, and I don't know that this is.
I don't even know that it's that. I just think that the risk is too high for the reward. Will people hate him? And will they want? Yeah, absolutely. He would get, nuclear heat, and they would absolutely want to see Eddie Kingston kill him. However, how does he come back from that? I'm certain at some point they're going to want Jon Moxley to be a babyface again.
Yeah. I mean,
you're not gonna imply that he beats his wife and then, oh hey, guess what, guys? I'm the good guy again.
That's gonna, and I think that's a great assessment of the situation. It's gonna be really, really hard to come back from that.
It's also important to note too, as far as Bully Ray is concerned, he has been a staple in a lot of hardcore places, but he was never the guy. You know what I mean? Like he's not. He was never the guy who he
was the guy in TNA.
Yeah, but once, twice? He was never 10-time world champion. He wasn't the guy who the longest reigning champion. He Jon Moxley is their workhorse. He's the guy, he's their Roman Reigns. He's their Seth Rollins. He's the guy that you can't go and make him something taboo. I would think, something like if you're abusing women or abusing children, that stuff's taboo, and that nobody wants to touch that. You don't come back from that either. You know what I mean? You want to do that to a mid-card guy, whatever. It's that nobody's going to care about that. But you can't do that to your top guy. And I think that's kind of maybe where Bully Ray is sort of off kilter, in that he's not. It's not that they can just do that and be like, oh yeah, and then now he's a babyface again in 8 months or whenever they need that. So I don't think that you can have him put his hands on Renee. I mean, I think maybe you can have him dismiss her or walk away from her or whatever, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree, and it's just one of those things that I agree with both sides of that coin, right? And it's very much that if they wanted to add a little bit of edge to what they're trying to do, which clearly they are attempting to do some things, in AEW. Obviously, we've already touched on the fact that like Jen Pepperman is there, and you know she's like supposed to be this creative genius that worked under Vince McMahon and WWE, and you know, lots and tons of respect for her and her body of work. You know, and the show feels different. You know, being locked in for 2 hours into an AEW show doesn't feel as much of a chore as it did 6 months ago. But at the same point in time, it's very hard to put yourself in that situation and then want to try and come back and be like, oh, here's Jon Moxley, Wild Thing.
Mm-hmm.
You make my heart sing. Yeah. You know,
I mean, maybe they won't, but yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I think that it's an interesting dialogue to have as far as wanting to add a little bit more edge to what Moxley and the Death Riders are doing. Thank God that they are no longer the Blackpool Combat Club.
Right? Like that was just that
was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. When I saw that they had trademarked the name Death Riders, I was like, that's so much better. At least there are no kind of like weird collective or anything like that. Speaking of which, they lost again.
What's the matter? You don't want to be a Fusion Pure Collection?
The Pure Fusion Collective. They lost again tonight. I don't know that they've ever won a match.
And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and it's like shitty name, decent little gimmick. Pretty badass collection of women.
Great. We've said this 100 times. Every time they come on the air, I'm a fan of every one of those women individually. They are losers every week now. They get beat every week. They come out and I'm like, well, even if it's not all three of them wrestling, if it's one of them wrestling, all three of them wrestled tonight because Dakota Kai is back. So they wrestled against
this week.
Yeah. Well, remember it was them who tore her meniscus and she had to have meniscus surgery for like the 9th time. And so Dakota Kai
that poor woman got chipped ham for knees.
Oh my God. Her
Isley's chip chopped.
I'm pretty sure there's you can buy the jar of the barbecue sauce that goes on the chip chopped ham. That's in there too. That's if you get the serving tray of the Isley's chip chopped ham full of the barbecue sauce and it's all mixed in together real good. That's what her knees look like when they pull this. That's what they looked like. And they were like, we got to put this back together. How?
Every single one of our Pittsburgh fans just went, Deb, we got to go on down and get some Isley's.
Go get some of that chip chopped ham. Get some of that good Mancini's buns to put it on it.
Got to head on down to the Giant Eagle. Get some of that ham downtown.
Some of that chip chop. Good. Give me some of that Isley's chip chopped ham. Not the Giant Eagle brand. We need Isley's.
Don't buy the cheap stuff. Oh shit. But yeah, man, I mean, you know, I like the idea. I do. There's something in there, but it just needs to be polished a little bit.
Yeah. But anyway, the Pure Fusion Collective lost again, collectively, all three of them this time, to Damage Control, who I guess are baby faces now, but whatever. So you want to talk about something? This sucks. Like both of their storylines suck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the Damage, their storylines suck. I think EO is the number one contender, but outside of that, everything that's happening with both of those groups sucks. And it's bad writing, it's bad television, it's bad booking. It sucks.
So something I do want to touch on though, because I want to kind of bring this back full circle with the whole the original 4 horsewomen. I am not a fan of babyface Bayley.
No, not in this gimmick. It's not as especially babyface loser Bailey. Right?
Bro.
Babyface loser Bailey. And that's where we are right now, because Bailey ain't winning matches either.
It's not good. It's not good. You know, and I think that right there is indicative of where we're at in 2024 going into 2025 with the women's division.
Yeah, I mean, everything else is pretty much okay, but like Bailey's not in a good place. Damage Control's not really in a good place. Neither is the Pure Fusion Collective has never been in a good place.
Well, maybe they should mishmash Bailey and Damage Control back together. Maybe they should hug it out.
Maybe they should, because whatever's happening right now is not.
Picture this
winning.
Backstage,
1910.
I'm glad you picked up on that. Picture this backstage, Monday Night Raw. Io Sky, Dakota Kai, and Kairi Sane are sitting on a couch in a locker room. And then all of a sudden you hear, ding dong, hello.
That'd be great. That'd be better than what's happening right now by a lot.
It's not been great, man. And I kind of really, like, I don't know if it's just me, but like watching Bailey like go out to the ring and like do half drunk Aunt Bailey, or I'm sorry, 33.3% drunk Aunt Bailey, 33.3% Damage Control Bailey, and 33.3% Hugger Bailey. It's just not fucking doing it for me.
No, it's like she's got she's like bipolar or something. She's got like multiple personalities going on, and it's just not. It's she needs to figure something out, settle down, and work on that, because it's too much of all three gimmicks.
Yes, and it's just not working for me. And while Tom steps away here, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this all back here full circle. I think that with the returns of both Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble, I think that we put ourselves in a situation in 2025 moving forward where we can utilize these two specifically, and throw Bailey into the equation a little bit, that we can elevate these newer up and coming women, such as a Jordan Grace or a Julia, even a Roxanne Perez or a Cora Jade, that are probably pretty close to being primed for a main roster type run. Tom and I touched on this last week where we discussed that, that women's wrestling is the future of professional wrestling, and we want to continue to harvest that and really water those seeds and watch those trees grow. So if we're able to input Becky and Charlotte and elevate the talent around them, a la Nia Jax, who just continues to get better every single week, or a Jade Cargill, who they seemingly have just come to terms with the fact that she's mid, and that she looks like $1 million, and she gets a reaction every time she comes out, and they're just going to run with that. And they'll figure out the rest as the days go by.
As long as she's not hurting people, I feel like they'll figure it out.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that the return of Becky and Charlotte at the Rumble, will do a lot of good to really bolster the women's division moving forward. And, based on what you and I talked about last week, the future of professional wrestling being the women's division. So,
yeah.
Tom, something that's been really, really prevalent on the internet this week that I feel like we would be doing our fans a disservice if we did not discuss. And that is one Malachi Black. So for those of you that don't know, Malachi Black had a match on Wednesday on Dynamite against Adam Cole, baby. Which was a decent little affair. There was a little bit of in the middle. A little bit of
They still did that thing where they traded blows that they do in every AEW match.
yeah.
Like why does everybody have that spot? Like
Yeah,
who wants to show?
everybody got to get their shit in, bro. You know,
But it's the same spot in every match, every men's match, I should say. The women don't usually do it.
well, it's because the women aren't usually on television.
There's that. I mean, they get a segment. They usually get a segment in a match.
No, Mercedes Moné gets a segment in a match.
Yeah. And that's not her. At least she doesn't do that spot.
So,
much.
I mean, there's that. But lot of speculation surrounding the Dark Knight of Dumbledore. And what and what his contractual status to All Elite Wrestling is. I had mentioned this in our group chat, and when I say our group chat, Tom,
we talked about it last week too.
Did we talk about it here last week?
Yeah, we talked because he had just said that he wasn't going anywhere.
No, we didn't talk about that here last week because this all happened on Wednesday.
All right, then we were talking about it.
We were talking about it,
right?
So we were talking about it in our group chat. And when I say the group chat, I talk about the text messages that you and I exchange on a day-to-day basis. That Derek is in the room for.
Yeah, he maybe reads them. I don't know.
You know,
sometimes he comments.
Sometimes he does comment. But you know, there's a lot of speculation surrounding Aleister Black. I'm sorry, Malachi Black. I'm sorry, Tommy End. No,
Tommy
that's
End.
not Tommy End.
That's not Tommy End.
But there's a lot of speculation surrounding him and his contractual status within All Elite Wrestling. I don't know about you, bud, but Wednesday sure as fuck felt like a farewell match to me.
It did, but man, I don't even know how to like. What a fumble with him, right?
It's the fumble of the century.
What a fumble, because it's like, you know, he wanted. Did they release him, or did he ask for it?
No, they released him.
All right, well, that was a Vince fumble there, and then they bring him in, and he's cool, immediately cool. Botches a feud with Cody, or probably not his fault. That was actually probably Cody's fault because Cody put himself through a flaming table. Malachi Black missed it.
Yes,
and then Malachi Black gets to bring in one Brody King, which was cool. The Kings of the Black Throne, which was cool, but they didn't do anything about it. Brody King's cool. They didn't do anything about it. Then they bring in Buddy Matthews, who WWE also fumbled because he's tremendous. And he's had some great matches on TV, but God, nothing. I mean, you're talking about like those three guys should really have been the guys running the place for a little while anyway, right? They deserve their place. They absolutely could have been on top.
I mean, they had a trios title run.
Right, which is basically an undercard, like the bottom card. That's basically the trios title is now what the European Championship was during the Attitude Era.
How dare you?
The hardcore championship.
How dare you disrespect the goddamn good name of the European Championship?
So I've disrespected the European Championship by comparing it to the trios title?
What is the matter with you? Don't you dare disregard the European Championship in such a manner. Did you know that the British Bulldog held that title?
I did.
Did you know that both Shawn Michaels and Triple H held that title?
I did. Did you know that D'Lo Brown held that title?
Bro,
the most?
Like, I was getting there, man.
Every Sunday night, baby. Look, if you weren't a D'Lo Brown fan, I don't know what to say about it.
I love D'Lo, bro.
I just
we used to strut down the hallway.
I loved man, D'Lo, when D'Lo and Mark Henry were a tag team. Oh man, and when they were feuding with the New Age Outlaws, I don't know that there was anything better. That might have been the pinnacle of tag team wrestling in in the Attitude Era when it was D'Lo and Mark Henry
you didn't know?
versus the Outlaws. Because, like, man, was that cool. Like, that nobody could really wrestle all that well. It was all really stupid. But at the same time, man, were those guys entertaining.
Absolutely.
They were such cartoon characters. Such cartoon characters.
Absolutely.
And it was just like, and I felt like every week they were just like, oh, we're going to get Mark Henry and D'Lo versus the New Age Outlaws every week. And every week something different would happen. Sometimes X-Pac would run interference. Sometimes The Rock would come out and rock bottom somebody in $1,000 shirt. So it was great. Every week.
How good was that feud though between the Nation of Domination and DX too? Like,
incredible. It's got a band. There's a band segment because of it.
Yeah, because Sean Waltman went blackface.
They all kind of went blackface.
Yeah, they all kind of went blackface, but Sean Waltman though was
sure was.
That man looked like he fell. That man looked like he fell into a pile of doo-doo before he walked out to that ring.
He found the brownest shoe polish he could find.
He had the like umpire's chest protector on.
I thought he had a sumo suit on.
Yeah, whatever the fuck, man. He looked hilarious. And it was great because he's the littlest guy playing the biggest guy. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It just, band segment, PC culture, bro.
I mean, you could see it on YouTube right now, but
yeah, I mean, listen, when WWE Network made the move to Peacock, they took the Roddy Piper thing with Bad News Brown when he painted half his body black. That whole fucking shtick is gone, and that is legendary Roddy Piper work.
Yeah. Is it just that match is still there? He wrestled that match like that, though. Is that match not still there?
I don't know that it's. I think it's on what is that, WrestleMania 2 or WrestleMania 3 that happened.
One of those. One of the first couple.
Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown. WrestleMania 6. Wow, I was way off.
I was gonna say, I don't think Roddy was in the WWF until
that's in Toronto. That's when Hogan dropped the belt to the Ultimate Warrior.
That's why it's not a fun rewatch, because you missed all that Roddy Piper and half blackface stuff. And then you have to watch Hulk Hogan wrestle the Ultimate Warrior, which may be the worst main event of all WrestleMania history.
Oh man, that shit was dope when we were kids, though.
Well, I mean, we didn't know any better.
Exactly.
We were like, was it purely for 6-year-olds?
I mean, it was the two heroes of the whole thing, bro. Like,
can you feel it, dude? Ah!
So, I mean, I don't.
That dude wasn't on cocaine at all.
No, not at all.
Never touched the stuff.
So, what's the chances that Malachi Black is headed back to WWE?
I hope for his sake really, really high. He seems to.
I mean, his wife works there.
His wife does work there, and his wife is featured week in and week out.
I mean, she's in a shitty spot.
She's not in the worst spot. Like, she gets time and she comes out. Sometimes she wins. Sometimes she loses.
Most times she loses.
Most times she loses. But she gets to talk. She gets to wrestle. Sometimes she gets a title shot in a half-ass
Just
pay-per-view.
think how much better her spot would be if she stood side by side with Andrade.
It would be infinitely better. It's almost like we saw that before, and it worked really well, and it was really over.
Really well.
And everybody was over. It's almost like they should do that again.
It's almost like Paul Levesque is getting ready to unleash black and gold NXT all over main roster. That's what I feel like.
I mean, that'd be cool because Ciampa's definitely about to turn on Johnny.
Sure is.
Saw that on Friday. That's gonna happen.
I saw it 2 Fridays ago. Nobody wanted to agree with me.
Well, I mean, it's been building for a while now, so
I'm here for it, bro.
oh yeah.
And then Michael Cole with the, it reminds me of Blackheart Tommaso Ciampa.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, you
Guy that walked out with no music, a t-shirt you couldn't buy.
That was fucking always so fucking dope.
Yeah.
And now I walked out to fuck you, Ciampa.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the type of heel we need in 2025.
Yeah.
We need that guy.
Yeah.
We need that guy. But I'd be all for Malachi Black coming back to WWE, getting a fair shake underneath the Triple H's regime, help kind of build the mid card a little bit that so desperately needs help, and all the way getting ready to build a top tier contender. I think that Malachi Black would have to be in a position where he would understand coming in, hey, like, you're going to muddle in the mid card for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're struggling here, but I think that you can absolutely help get the mid card on track, and you can absolutely help to create the roll of, the downward roll of the snowball,
Mm-hmm.
to build up our main event picture.
I think him versus LA Knight would be awesome.
Yeah.
In like an actual feud. I think that would be great.
I think it would be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Lots of fun possibilities. Lots of
maybe he could bring the whole House of Black with him. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and then we could finally watch Buddy Murphy fucking punch Dom Mysterio right in the face.
That'd be great.
Yeah, did you see that picture I shared in the group the other day? The
Probably.
Women's title then versus the women's title now.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that? Here, yeah. I'll put it up on screen.
I was gonna say, put it on the screen so people can see it.
So this is the women's title then, and this is the women's title now. I think that's great. I
love
Dom.
Dom's the best heel. I love how much heat Dom still has. Dom has somehow maintained his heat and somehow still can just like light it up and make it be more heel. I don't understand. He's a generational talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And then good old Uncle Dave had some things to say about Dominic Mysterio this past week.
Dave had a bad week.
Yeah, Dave did have a bad week, and we'll get into Dave here in a little bit. Furthermore into Dave, I'll say. But Dave has questioned WWE's booking of Dominic Mysterio to beat Damian Priest last week on Raw, only for Priest to then win the number one contender 4-way this week. When I saw the results yesterday, that's the first thing I thought. If Dominic isn't getting the title shot and Priest is, why the hell did he win? He could have beaten somebody else. He didn't have to beat Priest. The guy getting the next title shot, in a sense, it doesn't matter because WWE doesn't operate on logic and fans don't care. I thought for sure that Dominic would get the next title shot first, then Priest would get the next one. The idea is, and this is actually WWE's mentality, we can beat the guy many times. As long as he wins the 4-way, then he's okay because he won the 4-way. I think that last part is true.
Maybe.
But from the standpoint of saying that WWE doesn't operate on logic and the fans don't care is the most Dave Meltzer quote in Dave Meltzer history.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy that supports the logic of cold matches that make no sense because they're dream matches that everybody wants to see. Well, clearly they're not because people are turning off the television.
Yeah, nobody's watching, so.
I think from the standpoint of Dom getting the win over Priest, it kind of closes that door a little bit, closes the book on the OG Judgment Day as we know it, for now at least. I'm sure that some way or, some shape or form, they'll revisit that and they'll get back to it. It looks like Finn's getting ready to go off and do his own thing, maybe leave JD behind. We've not seen Carlitos since the I need to learn Chinese incident. Which I don't understand why everybody's all in an uproar about. I thought it was funny.
Thought it was hilarious.
I could understand the racial implication behind it, but it's not that big of a deal because, realistically, in like real world culture, minorities get a pass for mocking other minorities. It's just how, I don't like the world goes, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my view on the world.
I it didn't register anything with me.
I was not offended. I giggled. I thought it was funny. I don't think anybody was offended, really.
He didn't mean it. He didn't say it offensively either. He said it like, "How do I get with those chicks?" It was like, I don't know. Anyway, I feel like things can only be offensive when you mean for them to be offensive. Like there has to be like, as a law school graduate, there has to be mens rea. I feel like for it, like you have to want to be offensive and mean and terrible, and it also has to like kind of work out in that way to where what you say is offensive. Just saying, I need to learn Chinese, that sentence in and of itself is not offensive. I get the like, I get the implication of it and everything if you want to really dive into it. But again, we were watching pro wrestling. How, like, you really shouldn't be diving super deep. As I say this, as we've been talking about it for an hour. Really shouldn't like be going so deep. Well, what did he mean by that? He was just looking to pop the crowd. Like he was looking for a laugh. Because
I laughed. And I'm sure a lot of people laughed. We want to talk about, we used to come in here and talk about Vince being tone deaf to things, and these are the types of jokes that would be cracked in a Vince McMahon era. I thought it was just really good comedic timing. I thought that it wasn't meant in any way, shape, or form to be a negative connotation or anything like that. I can understand where the heat comes from, but let's chill the fuck out a little bit, okay?
Honestly, I think it would have been just as funny if he would have been like, I gotta learn Japanese. Like, I think it would have been just as funny in that regard, But, that's not what he said. Maybe it's what he should have said. I'd probably laughed if that's what he'd said, but oh well. I guess you live and learn. And he's learning.
It is.
I'm sure we just won't see. I don't know that I'm sure because I'm not sure. I hope we just, they take him off TV for a little while, let the heat cool down, and then just put him back. Like,
just poop my pants.
Oh, don't do that.
Oh.
Live
yeah,
on
man.
TV.
So I want to circle back to this Meltzer nonsense here. I didn't have a problem with Dom winning that match against
No. Because it keeps Dom's heat. I think that's important too, is to have Dom keep his heat, right? And not keep his heat, but maybe even build it. And the way he won was like a boo, boo kind of thing. Like it wasn't like Damian Priest looked weak. He lost on an interference and a roll up. Like that's just how.
That's how heels win, bro.
How heels win. That's how Dom's won 95% of his matches, and that's why people boo the crap out of him when he comes out. And Dom, I think, is also one of those guys who understands kayfabe in a
Very
way
much so.
That, like, even when he's doing interviews, you can tell he's like 95% in character. Like he'll answer questions about his wife and like, oh yeah, it's totally separate and yada yada yada. But the second it comes back to anything, he's right back into character. And I love that about Dom, and I think that his win over Priest, it's also one of those, like, I just complained about how, like, the Pure Fusion Collective, like, continues to lose week in and week out and stuff. And I feel like it's a mistake to, like, just be able to go in and assume that, oh, Dom's going to lose, right? Especially because Dom doesn't lose very often. And the way that he beat Priest it didn't hurt Priest at all, obviously.
No.
I mean, I think Priest's going to win tonight. He's wrestling Ludwig Kaiser right now. Unfortunately, Kaiser's one of those guys who falls into the category of guys that lose every fucking week. But
Kaiser's in a tough spot though too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, being Gunther's lackey, and I think that they're sowing some seeds of discontent there also.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting to see how that goes because Ludwig Kaiser's a fucking star waiting to happen.
Sure is.
No doubt about that in my mind whatsoever. But I mean, so I really want to dive in on what Uncle Dave had to say though about the WWE fans, accepting the fact that WWE is not logical. What that doesn't even make sense to me.
It doesn't, because I mean, for starters, we have to suspend our disbelief a little bit to watch wrestling, right?
Yes.
I don't watch wrestling thinking that it's pro football. Although sometimes it's booked better than pro football is, but I don't. Priest just won again. So see, Priest back in his winning ways. Doesn't matter. And he won clean, very clean. But I feel like if you just booked everything logically and there wasn't interference and roll-ups and things like that, like, that's just boring. And often enough times, like, I can look down a card of like, oh, here's what is booked for, Dynamite, and logically I can pick all the winners because it's painfully obvious. Maybe there's a toss up there, but still you can kind of go, especially if you've watched for the last couple of weeks, you go, they're going to let this guy win because they're building him up or they're trying to make him look strong or whatever. Or it's just going to end up in a disqualification or something because they don't want anybody to lose. And that's just how it's going to, you can almost call those too. So I feel like there's a dangerousness in WWE right now where it's sort of a like, at any given week, anybody can win. And not only can anybody win, like, somebody can mess it up for the other guy, right? Like, somebody can come in and mess it up. And that's especially when you got a guy like Dominic Mysterio, who basically has a little bit better than a 50-50 win record right now, I'd say, for the year. You kind of go in going, oh shit, can Dom just pull this out with some interference and some whatever? Is JD going to take a huge bump that enables Dom to win? Is JD going to smack his head off a table so that Dom can get a roll up? That'd be great. And I think that's the kind of thing that, doesn't hurt your stars like Priest or anything, but it keeps guys like Dom getting booed. And then when Dom falls out of a cage and gets beat with a kendo stick like he's a piñata, it's like
the Dom-yada.
The Dom-yada, like, that's great too. So it kind of all just becomes a nice big cornucopia of excellence. And it is logical and it does make sense because it wasn't that like Dom beat Damian Priest clean, because that would have been illogical. But he cheated to win. By hook or by crook.
He lies, he cheats, he steals.
Exactly. That's the character. That's what you want to happen. And that's what happened. And it was,
I mean, he's Eddie Guerrero light, bro.
He's Eddie's son, man. We saw that ladder match. We know what happened.
Oh my goodness. Oh shit. Listen, man, at the end of the day, bro, like, Dave's got to stop. And it's like, I get it, man. There's a segment of the internet wrestling community that's pro AEW. There's a segment of the internet wrestling community that's pro WWE. There's a segment of the internet wrestling community that's all about New Japan, TNA. Hey, man, I got an idea. Just shut the fuck up and enjoy what's on television.
Yeah. Don't be like, oh, well, this doesn't make sense or this isn't logical or what. Like, it is.
Aren't we the fucking pots calling the kettle black over here?
Whatever, man. Look, we're not the ones making stupid, we're not the ones making stupid calls like, oh, it was illogical. Why did they have to beat Priest? Because it was great?
Because it was fucking fun, man. Okay? Yeah. And wrestling is supposed to be fun.
I would also argue that it makes sense. But that's just me.
No, I think it made perfect sense, actually. So I don't know, man. But I will say this though. I want to go from one idiot to another one. Okay.
Oh,
Vince Russo.
Oh man, what did he say? I missed this.
I just can't with this guy sometimes.
I mean, most people can't. So,
he says, guys, I've said this, and I'm not going to go off on my prediction. I think that Hunter Hearst Helmsley will be gone from WWE in 2025. I'm sorry, but these lawsuits are going to develop. A lot more is going to come out of them. Ari Emanuel has The Rock on the board. Ari and The Rock have a very, very, very long relationship, and The Rock is so key to this because why do I need Triple H if I got The Rock?
You don't think busy.
You don't think The Rock doesn't have a laundry list of people that he'd want to hire and bring into the fold? Brian Gewirtz is at the top of that list. I don't really see a need for Triple H if Ari's got Rock in his back pocket, bro.
Like, first of all, let's just start by saying The Rock is the busiest man in the world, not just in the WWE.
Well, especially because he's going to have to run for president in 2020, in 2030.
2028.
2028, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't.
Die, Rocky, die.
It doesn't make sense. Like, I don't understand who, do people listen to him or do they there's just the only people that listen to him are the people that are listening to him to get clips.
You know what, dude? I mean, Sportskeeda pays him a lot of fucking money to spew out his nonsense. For somebody that claims that they hate the wrestling business and that, they don't need to lie and tell stories and, because that's just who they are, bro. I don't know, man. Like, this dude makes a lot of money off of the wrestling business. For somebody that doesn't, and already has, and he still makes a lot of money off the wrestling business. For somebody that doesn't like the wrestling business, I just don't. This is the type of out of pocket stuff that people look at this guy and are like, bro, you're stupid.
Like,
did you fall down some steps?
Did you hit your head?
Did you bump your head? Like, what? The WWE has made more money in 2024 off of the pencil of Paul Levesque than they've made in the last 5 years on the pencil of Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Now, you can argue inflation and, rising of rates in 2024. The economy's in the shitter. But if the economy's in the shitter, a lot of fucking people got a lot of money to fucking spend on fucking WWE tickets. Because WWE is just making money.
And merch.
They're printing their money.
And merch.
Yes.
I have not seen as many WWE t-shirts live and in public since we were in middle school and high school. Remember when everybody owned an Austin 316 shirt? It's almost to that level. I mean, it's a lot of Austin 316 shirts. Still, I'm going to admit I still see.
I saw a Wolfpack shirt in the wild yesterday.
No, thank you. She asked if that's what I wanted for my birthday. I do not.
That Austin 316 shirt?
Yeah, I'm good. Honestly, the shirt I want, because mine got a hole in it and shrunk. Now, actually, I wouldn't mind a Cactus Jack shirt. Oh, good, it's already happening. Is remember my Roman Reigns wreck everyone and leave shirt? It shrank real weird. So it was like still like wide, but it was like short, and I had to get rid of it. It's the worst. It's the worst.
I hate when t-shirts shrink that way.
Cause like I'm long in the torso.
Me too.
And I don't have a lot of room for that to shrink.
No.
And have it not be a tummy shirt.
And I used to have to wear T-size t-shirts because I'm long in the torso and I'm fat. So, in order to cover both the height and length and girth of my front section, I had to buy the Magnums.
It shrank in the dumbest way, and it fit so good before. But I wore it like every week, and so it would get washed every like 3 or 4 days. So I mean, it probably went through 30.
You know what? That's fair because I caught myself doing that a couple of months ago with my Cody Rhodes shirt. I was like, man, this has been in the washing machine an awful lot recently.
Yeah. For a black tee, because I feel like it depends too on like whether it's what the poly cotton blend is, and black t-shirts are generally like 100% cotton.
Listen, this is not an ad, okay? We are not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. But I'll tell you what, Tom, the fucking best black t-shirt you will ever spend your hard-earned money on is by our good friends at Into the AM. Okay.
You're right. I know.
They are phenomenal t-shirts. I have
Into the AM.
I have like 30 of these sons of bitches. Okay. I'm a member. Listen.
Walt's a member.
I don't know. It's over there somewhere. I get a graphic tee every month from them. Like I'm in their like t-shirt subscription thing.
Oh, you could do that? What's that cost?
Yes. $14.95.
That's it? Oh shit, I'm gonna do that.
Their shirts are great. Their graphic tees are fucking dope. They've not sent me a bad one yet. And like their basic tees are incredible. And if you're gonna spend good money on a good t-shirt, Into the AM is the place to be. Okay. And I am a large man.
When I see him, I jump into his arms. That's how
their t-shirts make me look jocked. Like
you do look pretty good in that shirt.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's all of them. Every one I've ever fucking put on.
You put it on, you're like, damn, I look good.
Yes. And that's how a t-shirt's supposed to fucking make you feel. All right. Okay.
I feel this t-shirt. This t-shirt looks good on me.
Reebok does a nice job, but they're also in the business of man boobs now. If you didn't know,
mine are okay for now.
So I'm just putting it on to Reebok. Like they're in the business of man boobs now. They're in all the big and tall places.
All right, well that's good. What size should I get, Walter? Should I get what I normally get, or should I size it down
for what Into the AM?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. We'll talk about that off air.
All right.
Because I have questions.
All right.
Yeah. So I agree, though. There's a lot of merch out there. There's a lot of money to be made. And that's all because of Triple H and like what he's done this year. I know that I understand the criticism surrounding him that he's great with the main event, but he's having a hard time with the mid card, and that there may be some relevance to that argument as we've discussed here in the last couple of weeks, but maybe it's just as simple as he's trying to build the main event so that the mid card sorts itself out. Right? Like,
yeah.
Let's play a little word association here. Okay.
Jeez, we're playing a game.
Yeah, we're gonna play a game. All right.
Play the game.
We're gonna say we'll call it a top guy or a not guy. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Coco Beware.
He was a not guy.
Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
I mean, that's my only choice is top guy or
Yes,
not
sir.
guy.
This is the exercise. Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
He's a not guy then. He's not a top guy.
The $1 Million Man.
He's a not guy.
But he could be a top guy.
But he could be, yes. Well, like Kurt Hennig and okay,
Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect was a not guy, but he could have been a top guy.
Ah,
Same thing with Rick Rude.
Now, see, I got the wheels turning a little bit in that hamster wheel.
But like Roddy Piper was a top guy, but he was never the top guy.
So was he a not guy?
See, I feel like he had too many main events and had too many shots to not be, and too many like big feuds for titles that he didn't win.
Okay. All right. Let me continue. Finn Balor.
Finn Balor's a top guy.
Kevin
Owens. Agree
Owens.
with me. Kevin Owens is a top guy.
LA Knight.
Still a not guy for the moment. I mean, I appreciate that he's got a singles title, but he's still a not guy for the moment.
So you see what I'm doing here?
Ashley just reminded me he is the face of Slim Jim.
He is the face of Slim Jim. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. We did really good there.
That's how you know you made it when you're.
Yeah, we did really good there. We did really good. But do you see what I'm saying, though? Like, that's my argument. You could look at, the Roddy Pipers and the Mr. Perfects and, and be like, oh, I mean, they were great, but what'd they ever do? Right? You need those
Roddy
guys.
Piper was a multiple-time Intercontinental champion.
He was a one-time Intercontinental champion. He held the Intercontinental championship one time for a very, very short reign. Do you know why? Because Roddy Piper didn't need a belt.
No, he didn't. Well, he was a tag champ with Ric Flair once or twice too, wasn't he?
Yeah, when he was already
old,
20 years past his prime.
Yeah, when he was old and fat. Yeah.
So those don't count.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying here. So like the internet wants to talk about Triple H not knowing how to build a mid card when in reality he's trying to build the main event picture, right? And he's trying to make the main event picture special. And in order to make the main events, the mid card makes sense. The main card has to make sense. And in order for the main event picture to matter and mean something, the mid card the mid card folks need to matter and mean something. Enter Andrade, enter LA Knight, enter Jey Uso, enter Braun Breaker, enter
Carmelo.
On and on.
Prior to that, Gunther held the Intercontinental title for 500 days or whatever.
Now he's a top guy.
Yeah.
So the argument that the mid card sucks is, I think it's false.
I think it's maybe in a slump at the moment, but I don't think that's like necessarily a bad thing, especially considering the time of year. Traditionally, right now is like rerun, basically almost house show rerun season for WWE.
Yes. But it's not.
And it hasn't been. And I feel like that's really where the criticism in the internet wrestling community is sort of losing focus, in that, like, it's November 11th. It's going to be Thanksgiving in 2 weeks. It's going to be Christmas in 8 weeks, 7 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's like 48 days.
Yeah. And it's just not like this is normally the time where it's like, this shit is nonsense. And like, they're like, all right, Miz, you got it for December. You're going to lose at the Rumble. Like that's what these are.
Yeah. but we're not. But we're not doing that. As a matter of fact, I have a very important question for you. Very super important. I hope you're ready.
I'm as ready as I'm gonna be.
Okay, Tom,
Walt,
are you feeling oozy?
am I feeling oozy? I guess I'm not feeling as oozy as I should feel.
So we've known since WrestleMania that we were coming to this conclusion of War Games and Survivor Series. Like the writing was on the wall. Like, it was splattered all over the place.
And the money was in the bag. It's like, oh, this is obviously where we're going with this. Like, this is where the money is.
And now we're here.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Does it look like you thought it was going to look?
Right now, yes. However, I think there's still a piece to be added that probably makes it look like in a way that I didn't think it was going to look. The fact that we've got a team of 4 going into War Games. We've got 2 teams of 4. Or wait, do we have does the solo bloodline have 5? Hold on, we got 1, 2.
No, they have 4.
They have 4. Okay,
and that's what's intriguing about this being 5-on-5 War Games.
Yeah. Well, tonight, I don't know if you saw it, but tonight, so they've both. Well, now they're both talking to Seth Rollins. So first, Sami Zayn talked to Seth Rollins, and right now, as you bring that up, Solo and Jacob Fatu are talking to Seth Rollins, and I think Seth is declining both of them from what I can see right now. But obviously, I'm talking to you, so I'm not paying that close of attention. But
I always watch Raw after we're done. It's not.
I don't think it's going to be Seth.
No, none of that
makes sense. But I appreciate that they're teasing Seth.
I do too.
But none of it's going to be Seth.
No.
They did sign Zilla Fatu. I don't know that you throw him into War Games immediately as his first.
They didn't. I don't think they signed Zilla. They signed another kid. They signed another kid. I can't remember who it was.
Is there another Fatu? How many Fatus are there?
I mean, fuck. Throw a stone. You're gonna hit an Anawahi.
An Anawahi.
Like walk into a wrestling event and throw a stone.
Which one of you people's related to Roman Reigns?
You throw the stone and you wait and who threw the stone, brother? It's a thing, bruh. Yeah. Like I don't know, but
the fact that we got Tongans in on this is
maybe that's it. Maybe they bring Haku.
I don't know that I would pop
in Rikishi.
That might be awesome. Honestly, that might be tremendous. That might be.
Haku still alive?
Yeah, I'm certain about it. He's probably still tough as
hell. You know what? He is definitely still alive. I saw a picture of him not that long ago. No, fucking.
He's probably still tough as hell too. He'd probably still bite the ear off of any motherfucker that.
Yeah, he's 65.
Yeah, he could still bite the ear off any motherfucker that crossed him.
Dude, why is this doing this? No, Haku WWE. Let's do that because it's now. I want to see a picture of him now. I thought I just saw a picture of him. Not, yeah, here, dude. He fucking still looks like a brick shit house.
Yeah, he just a little gray right there.
Good Lord, bruh.
He can still kill anybody.
Oh, bruv. That's a big Tongan, bruv.
Oh, he killed bruv, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think, well, yeah.
Snap bruv in half, throw one side of him, throw the other side of the other crowd.
Give me Haku and Rikishi inside the War Games. That'd be fucking dope.
I don't know if Rikishi could still go, but if he could,
sign me up.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Wouldn't that be so fun?
Oh my god, I don't know if Rikishi can go, but yeah, it would be
I'm sure Haku can't really go either, but they could definitely like hit each other with some shit and die over in the corner somewhere until it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I mean, I would watch that just for the nostalgia pop.
Yeah, the nostalgia pop.
Yeah, if they could put together 30 seconds of something, I think that would be okay. The rest of those guys could absolutely carry that match.
Yeah.
They just have to help throw shit in the ring, really, after that. Just like dig shit out. Just like,
they didn't even have to stand in the war games. Like, in the cages on the top of the stage, they're surprises. Nobody knows who they are. Could you imagine if Too Cool's music hit and Rikishi came out?
Accompanied by Scotty Too Hottie.
Yeah, because right.
He works for AEW though, so that wouldn't happen.
He does work for AEW.
That wouldn't happen, but still would be fun.
Look, you have sunglasses on. Come on, man, that'd be fun.
That'd be the funnest thing ever. It would just be sad because obviously Brian Christopher's dead. The King isn't coming out to do any homage like that after just having a stroke last year. And Scotty Too Hottie works with AEW, so he ain't coming out either. So it would be Rikishi all by himself with his own plastic.
Could you imagine if Roman was up there with him?
I don't know if they want to do that to Roman though. Could you imagine his sons though? That'd be great. Jay and Jimmy doing it?
Yeah, bust out the old dancing gimmick.
That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be good. I'd be down to watch Jay and Jimmy do it.
That shit's so tough. Like, I love watching. What's that called?
I don't know, man. You brought it up.
Called? I gotta remember what it's called. Hold on.
Old wrestling?
No, bro. No.
Wrestling from when we were children? Just playing No Mercy on the N64?
Haka is what that's called.
Haka?
Yeah, bro.
The dance.
Yeah, like remember those guys used to do that?
Yeah.
But like that shit's tough. I love watching that. Like whenever like the Hawaii football team getting ready pregame, like doing a haka, oh shit, makes me want to run into a brick wall, bro. Just like
when I was in college, my fraternity used to do a luau, and a couple years in a row, we booked like a group that came and they did belly dancing. They had girls come and do belly dancing, but then there were two dudes that did the haka and like ate fire and threw it around and stuff. Those dudes, that was the coolest. And then they drank with us after. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. Cool. Like we roasted a pig and everything and did the whole thing. But like those dudes were so cool. It was unbelievable. But that would be cool. I could see that. I don't know that it would hit the same for the modern audience that it would hit for you and I. It would be my favorite thing, but I think the internet would trash it the next day.
Yeah. So I gotta talk about it.
Oh boy, here we go.
No, not yet. I want to talk about the pile driver heard round the world.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going somewhere else with this. All right.
No, I'll give you your moment in the sun.
Oh boy. Wow, did they sell that? They sold the shit out
They
of
did
that.
such a great job with that.
I mean, Michael Cole got that move over. This is why damn move's been banned for 20 years.
My God, the way that they told that story, that's why you watch pro wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, does it become, not to tie it back, but do you have Kevin go with, do you split up then Kevin and Cody and have them be on opposing teams in War Games?
No.
I don't think I'd like it either.
I don't think that happens because Kevin's definitely on some lone wolf shit right now.
Yeah, and I think that they're trying to make it mean something for Kevin to fight Cody like at the end of the year and maybe even carry it over a little bit into the Royal Rumble. Because Cody ain't losing, but I feel like we're breaking the Kevin Owens glass again, but doing it in the best way possible by selling the shit out of a move. Because like Randy could take some time off and show back up at the Rumble, and people would love it. That'd be great. Randy's a family man now. All right, guys, I'm going home for the holidays. I will see you in January.
Yes. Yes. I don't know, bro. Like the way that segment came together was pure as the driven snow.
It was
Like
great. It was a great segment. It was
very rarely, because I watch wrestling in my man cave down here at night. And when I say at night, I'm talking early hours of the late morning, right? Like I'm underneath of my sleeping family when I watch wrestling, and very rarely do I let out an audible reaction to something.
hey,
Man, I was so excited at the way that whole segment took place.
right.
The way that Michael Cole is the MVP, and I know you already said that, but my Lord, Michael Cole, doing the best work of his entire career.
Yeah, I've been saying it for.
You better ask somebody.
The better part of a year.
Yes, you have. But he's still cringy as fuck.
It's fine. I think that's the gimmick.
But my goodness gracious, which lends me to a credibility thing, right? And it reminds me of like the DDT spot. The DDT used to be devastating when Jake Roberts did it. Now it's like a transitional thing. And, you flip onto and what really made me think about this was I saw a TikTok this morning on the shitter. And
were you at work when you saw this TikTok?
No, I was still here.
Okay. You weren't on the shitter at work. So
no, I was on the shitter here. Okay. It was my morning too. And, it was like, I don't remember, but it was a split screen, and it was the pile driver spot on the top that we just saw on Friday night. And then it was like Pentagon taking a Canadian destroyer and then rolling out of it and coming off the ropes, and clotheslining his opponent or something like that. Like, Penta took a Canadian destroyer, which is a devastating looking maneuver, right?
It looks worse than it looks worse than
but the difference is the sell.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that part is where AEW loses its credibility with most viewers, right?
Yeah.
And the perceived suspension of disbelief is just too much to ask for.
Yeah.
In that sense, right? And it really makes me try to wrap my head around the fact that NXT was able to go to AEW's night that they chased them off of.
Right.
While I'm sure that strategically WWE probably moved NXT, but NXT magically had a network television deal that started a week before Dynamite kicked off, and encroached on their day, when in reality NXT had been on Wednesdays at 8:00 for the better part of 5 years.
Yeah.
By that point, right?
Just on the network at the time.
Yes.
Which is why you subscribed to the network. But at the time, especially
yes,
because NXT, like WWE, was mostly hot garbage. But there was 2 hours of gold, and it was NXT,
and it was on their proprietary network.
Yes.
So how quickly people forget these things when it comes to AEW and Wednesday night being their thing, and we chase them off our yard. Ugh, right? But on Wednesday, Chef Shawn Michaels and them boys down there at NXT walked their happy asses back into that front lawn. And they said, "You know what, AEW?
This is our night.
We're going to do $619K on your night and you're only going to do 523.
And that's actually lower. I mean, for both, but it's actually lower than the number that.
Well, that just tells you that to me just tells you the crossover audience.
Yeah. For sure.
Because what? They both push a mil.
Yeah.
On their respective nights. I mean, NXT's been doing what, 850?
850, yeah, more
and
or less.
AEW's been doing like 725 to 925.
Yeah, depending on what they've. If only Sting was still there. Yeah, more or less.
You know, so
they've been around 800 for the better part of the last year.
So, you know, I just, it's interesting food for thought, you know, just all boiled down into one TikTok where this devastating Canadian destroyer, I'm just going to go ahead and pop right up and I'm going to hit you with a flying elbow off the ropes. And then Kevin Owens gives Randy Orton the ugliest pile driver I've ever seen in my entire career of watching wrestling. And, they get it over like it was the most devastating thing to ever happen on national television.
Yeah.
And then people want to know, people don't understand why AEW got beat by NXT on their night. You know, but you got to think it's because of something like that, right?
Yeah, and it's that, and it's the inconsistency. It's NXT particularly is consistent, and I think that if given the choice, am I going to watch NXT or am I going to watch Dynamite? I'm going to probably watch NXT. You know, they were also in the NXT arena. They had Bubba Ray Dudley back teaming up with Trick. I mean, it was a good
show.
It was a loaded show.
But you know what? On the other channel, they put on a pretty good fucking show too.
I didn't watch it, so I couldn't tell you what it was.
And if I'm sitting here and I listen, and you know me, I don't have the recall like you do, but if I sat down and I had to make a decision on Wednesday night at 8:00, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would have stayed with AEW on Wednesday night, just how they started, because AEW started more me, right? So like there were plenty of fans that had to make that decision. Like I think Lola Vice kicked off NXT.
Yeah, with a poor. Why do they keep giving? I mean, I guess they're letting her practice, but good lord.
And I wasn't here for it. You know, and she just looks so forced. Like I understand, like, isn't she like a trained killer, like a Golden Gloves boxer, like some sort of fucking MMA?
Yeah, but she's not a great talk. It's the talking.
Right? She's a bona fide killer though, right? Like sure. that's not up for debate. Like
no, yeah, exactly, absolutely.
And then she like tries to trot herself down there, like she's this like sexy, smoking hot Miami babe, which I mean, okay. I'm here for it. But how do the kids say it? She ain't got no riz, man.
No, and especially in the way she delivers promos it's forced, it's weird. It's not, there's nothing about her so much that's smooth, and I think that's what it's not, the way she speaks is not smooth, and that might be part of the problem. Might be that, like, you know, English is her second language, which I know a lot of people struggle with, especially Spanish speaking to English speaking as far as wrestling is concerned when promos are considered. You know, it's just not something that you see translate very well. You know, you wouldn't, even though Rey Mysterio is, you know, born in Sacramento, California or whatever, like Rey was never the best promo.
619 Booyaka Booyaka. That's San Diego, not Sacramento.
All right, San Diego, but still, hooty hoo. Other than that, like, he's not like I can't think of a whole lot of other than Eddie, who was a fantastic promo. But like
he lies and he cheats and he steals.
Yeah. I lied.
But so I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole, right? Like I want to stay focused on the task at hand here. But like for me, like I would have stayed and watched AEW and just come back and watched NXT. Like that didn't matter to me one way or the other, right? Like because I obviously watched Dynamite first on Saturday night. And then I watched NXT right after it because that's I blocked that time out for this conversation. I would have stayed with AEW, right? Like that, just my takes. And then I just went back and watched NXT later and been like, oh, I made a bad decision, which I did. I would have made the wrong decision, right? In hindsight, even though AEW's show was solid top to bottom, in my humble opinion.
Sure.
But you know,
I'm sure it was fine. I'm sure it was. They've been putting on perfectly decent shows. I just think that they burned all of their goodwill prior to doing.
Yeah. I mean, and we continue to touch on that, and that's a thing, right? But I think that they're hopefully maybe kind of sort of learning their ways. And I saw this blurb, and I didn't read it, I didn't click on it, I just kind of giggled. That said, someone in AEW, what did it say? Someone in AEW that shut down. AEW shuts down Darby Allin's crazy idea. Was like the headline, something like that. And I giggled at it, right? I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why the show feels a little bit better, because somebody's actually fucking saying no.
Somebody's back there going, no, you're not going to do that. You will not be diving headfirst through a windshield.
And I'm not just talking about Darby. Like, I'm just saying in general, somebody's saying no.
Yeah, that I would agree with that. The show certainly looks like somebody is saying no.
I don't know who it is.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but there has been exponentially less blood in AEW.
I've absolutely noticed.
Exponentially less blood.
I've also not watched a pay-per-view in.
I watched the last one. That one had too much. Or no, the last one I watched did have too much blood.
The last one was the
one that, right,
it was negatively built into the gruesome affair that it was at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, so somebody's saying no, it feels like, right? But
I feel like after that may have been the straw that broke the camel's back then too.
And maybe Turner was just like, hey man, like we get it, but like
enough's enough.
We just paid you a bunch of money to be on our network for the next couple of years, okay? And we're like trying to build this streaming service around you. Maybe chill the fuck out a little bit.
Yeah, maybe don't lacerate everybody every week.
You know, and here's my biggest hang up on AEW right now. Okay. And I wanted to bring this up last week and I totally forgot. And I'm glad that it worked out this way. You know, for the past several weeks, they've been cramming this overrun down our fucking throats, right? Like since Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Since we were there.
Yeah, they've been cramming this out. So what's that been already? Like 6 weeks? 5 weeks?
Yeah, 6.
You know, do you know not a single solitary episode of Dynamite that has hit my DVR has included the overrun?
They're still
not
doing
a single one. Not a single one.
They're still doing that.
I was watching Dynamite, and
how is Turner so bad at this?
Middle of the scrum at the end, just
how is Turner still so bad at this?
Listen, WWE overruns every single week on all 3 shows, and all 3 shows, my overrun is there in its entirety.
Yeah. They never miss. And it's been that way since DVR was invented, because if you remember, Raw used to overrun weekly when we were kids, when it was a 2-hour show that started at 9 p.m. It would go till 11:05, 11:10 sometimes. Shit, I think Mick Foley won the title the first time. It was like 11:12 p.m.
Yeah, something like that. It's nuts, dude. Like I don't understand
It
why
does.
it's so fucking difficult.
I think that's more on Turner than anybody else.
Yeah,
if
dude,
I'm being honest. Like,
it's
it's
bad.
not like Tony doesn't have the
No,
ability
I'm
to
not.
set
Listen,
any
I'm blaming
kind
it
of.
on AEW just because it's AEW, but like at this point, it's a fucking joke, right?
Well,
But,
I mean, WB owns TNT and
yeah,
TBS too, and
but
WB. Let's face it, WB put out some pretty rough shit this year. So
yeah, but let's just fucking call it what it is, okay? It's bullshit, all right? And then I've got this fucking guy, all right, on Twitter defending AEW's dip in the ratings by saying NXT does have the edge, being in 9% more homes as a network station. Uncle Dave.
9%. 9%.
9%. Listen, we're talking about if we had 1,000, okay? If we had 1,000 homes,
We're talking about 90 people.
we're talking about 90 people.
Yeah. Talking about if we had 100, we're talking about 9. Because that's how percentages work. Yes. I can do math.
So can
despite it being 10, 11 p.m. Yeah, man. Oh, well, they got the edge, because it's in more homes. Like, you're telling me when it was on USA, like 2 weeks before, you're telling me that like those 9%, that 9% of people that it didn't have it in their homes, they were not watching it, but they would have been? I just don't understand the logic.
Yeah. So listen. So Dave, okay, because of this tweet that I'm fairly certain you sent to me,
I did.
Okay, it started the epic Twitter night that meltdown of the internet wrestling community and Dave Meltzer.
Dave had a bad night.
I've got so many fucking screenshots of just shit that people have fucking said to him. So here's the tweet. Wouldn't TBS want them to reach for the largest audience possible, though, especially when everyone knew it was going to be a competitive night? Dave says, yes, TBS doesn't even list CW as competition. I don't know how relevant that was. I think losing to MTV means more to them. What?
Did they lose to MTV? Did they lose to ridiculousness?
That's the only thing on MTV, right? Like, and then Dave clearly forgetting what he's already said.
Either that or the Jersey Shore.
Dave clearly forgetting what he said, and this is hilarious because I see that this is from Yinzer Online. But if AEW was on Tuesday against NXT, the excuse would be that it wasn't on its normal night. Dave says AEW clearly had the edge being on its normal night. If it was on Tuesday, it would have not even been close. What does that mean?
I think that means that if AEW was on Tuesday, it would have had 100,000 viewers, and NXT would have had its regular 8 or 900,000 viewers.
So, like, I don't. But you just said that CW had the edge because it was in 9% more homes than TBS.
I think what Dave is trying to say, without saying it, is that NXT is clearly and has always been, for the most part, the superior product, at least since the bottom kind of fell out of AEW. And I think that it's fair to say that now with Kenny Omega being gone, with the Young Bucks floundering in whatever their old Bucks, EVP thing is, with Cody being gone, with Chris Jericho being 5 years older, with who else was Jake Hager leaving and calling him a communist. Who else? I mean, Sammy Sammy started hot, but hasn't been healthy or himself since he and Tay got together. Who else did they have initially that they don't have anymore? Sting, lots of stuff. I feel like there was a lot of goodwill and a lot of hype coming in, and I feel like sort of what their biggest sort of both pro wrestling and kind of freak show draws, all sort of left. Like Marco Stunt's gone, but he was real popular for a minute. I hate to say it, ratings were higher when Joey Janela was there.
Oh, there it was.
But it wasn't his fault, but they just were. They've been on. They lost 250,000 people when Cody left, and they have not been able to either retain nor refine those fans. And I hated Cody when he was there. Hated him. He would come on, and I would be like, Jesus fucking Christ. And I would want to turn that shit off because I thought it was corny as hell. And it was.
Yeah, but he's playing the same character in WWE.
I don't understand it either. Look, I don't have a good answer. I can't say that it's my favorite segment always, but it's like, at least it's at the top of the card and not like middling around in the middle somewhere and doing some fucking nonsense bullshit. But still, 250,000 more people liked that than they like what AEW is doing currently. So who am I to speak? Like, the numbers speak for themselves.
I agree.
So I feel like the bottom fell out, and they've not found their replacements. They're sort of hitting this like 5 years slump. They're figuring it out in a way that, I feel like all wrestling companies kind of do, is that, you kind of come in, you got your top guys, you got your hot things going on. And this is almost like sort of that like post Hulk Hogan WWF type of thing.
The new era.
Yeah, where it's like they're still trying to figure out who they are, and ratings have not been great because they were this new exciting sort of like post indie thing, and now they're like kind of mainstream lamestream, and they haven't found their new identity and how to be
their
cool.
New identity, bro. They haven't figured out what they are since the jump.
I feel like they tried real hard with the Elite versus the what was Jericho? We do this every week. What was Jericho's squad named?
The Inner Circle.
The Inner Circle. That's right. Yeah. I'd always want to call them the Pinnacle
because that's MJF's group.
I know, and it was what a waste of potential.
Yeah,
what a waste of potential FTR is.
Listen, at the end of the day, Tom, like, I just don't know what Dave's thinking is, and it's like, how I don't think this guy watches wrestling. I really don't.
I don't think he does. I think he reads what happened.
I think that he just talks to the Bucks and Tony, and that's what he just talks.
And he reads what happens.
Yeah,
I think he live reads it. That's why he stutters so much while he's reading what happened. Yeah. Well, no.
At this point, and like, I don't know how anybody can see Dave Meltzer as credible for today's wrestling. If you need a history question answered, Dave's your guy. I will give him that. Like, his historical knowledge, second to none. But his opinions,
present day especially,
my lord.
See, I think there was a point in time where Dave had the ear, where not necessarily that he had the ear, but like there were people in charge and who were writing the shows week in, week out, who Dave had their number, and they talked frequently. Those people, I think, have long retired or been let go. And so now Dave is just farting in the wind. And he's like the kid that like always played with the cheat codes, and now that somebody took his cheat codes away, and he's like, wait, I have to predict now. I have to give an opinion. I have to get, like, people were just telling me what was going to happen before. Now I have to figure it out. And it's like, that's just that it just doesn't work. And but that's what he has to. That's the gimmick he has to keep up now because he's got subscribers that pay his mortgage.
I mean, I don't. I really, I'm at a place, and like I'm not a subscriber to his newsletter, but like I'm really at a place that I just don't know how this guy has any credibility left.
So I used to get the in the like 1998, 99-ish. I was a subscriber for like about a year, I think 12 months. Somebody bought me a year. And I thought it was very compelling, but stuff at the time. And you would hear about injuries that you weren't that you weren't privy to because the internet wasn't really a thing and stuff like that. So it was really a like kind of a cool, oh my God, sort of moment. But like now it's like now that stuff's like you hear about it before you see it on TV. Now, oh, so and so blew out their knee walking out of Starbucks this morning. They're going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, and you're like, the fuck? Like, what? And like that was the kind of stuff that you almost had to like wait to get the Wrestling Observer to find out.
Yeah.
But now that stuff's on Twitter before, because the superstars themselves will tweet it.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking tripped coming out of Starbucks. See you guys in 6 weeks. Like,
yeah.
What? So, I think that like Dave has sort of like, and then, once the internet kind of came in, he had some people in the back that would feed him information, but now those people are long gone because that was 20 some years ago. And he's just farting into the wind with shit takes that are not worth the paper or he prints on or the breath that he speaks them with. And
do you mean the paper that's all over the floor of his office?
Yeah, that paper or the breath that he speaks of it.
Listen, man, at the end of the day, dude, like I think that NXT is a better product right now. I've recently gotten back into NXT and I've been paying really close attention to what AEW's been doing. I think NXT is a better show. I think that the better show won. Did WWE hit us with a little bit of a nostalgia pop being in the ECW arena? Did the ECW music and the whole thing, and like they made it a big deal because it was a big deal.
They did it without Paul Heyman too, which was
exactly. And like, but Bubba Ray was the right guy to replace that, right? And so there's a lot of that, but NXT is the better show. And the sooner that Dave and the likes understand that and realize that AEW can get better. Because I feel like the problem is there's people like Dave that are telling AEW fans how good the product is, and it's making the talent think that the product is better than it actually is.
Right.
And it's making the fans believe that it's better than it actually is. But I'm here to say, I'm really into what's happening on Wednesday nights, Saturday nights, getting a little bit better. Let's stay on that.
Friday nights are still abysmal.
I mean, that show's about to not exist here in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think
so I mean, it might already be off the air. I don't know.
No, it happened last Friday, so I mean, right. I mean, maybe that was it. I don't know.
But it is what it is, and Dave needs to just put the fucking Twitter down because he just looks fucking. He just looks like he's embarrassing himself out loud in public.
Yeah, he looks bad. It's bad.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Not to hurt Dave Meltzer's feelings, but my favorite match of the week was the Fatal 4-Way last week on Monday Night Raw.
Full circle moment, folks. That's what we call that.
Where Damian Priest won. And I don't think that Priest is going to win here at Survivor Series, but I'm excited to see them run it back.
Yeah, me too, because they had a great match.
they had a great match, and I think that it's cool to see that now. And I think that Priest won again tonight, and he won against Gunther's lackey, Mr. Ludwig Kaiser, the hot dog man, and or no, the hot dog roll man. But he's been. I feel like them running it back is going to be good. The first match was really good. I'm sure this match is going to be good as well. I don't see Priest winning, but I liked the way the Fatal 4-Way worked, because it like these Fatal 4-Ways, especially in like triple threats, are sort of like make and break kind of matches, where it's like there's a 90% chance nobody's going to get over. Everybody's going to look stupid coming out of this. And that wasn't the case. Everybody kind of got their own stuff in. There were lots of little storylines going on, kind of like they do with the Royal Rumble a little bit, but like sort of on a very small level, like little storylines going on where it's like, we got Dom here, and Dom's being a dick because he beat Priest last week, and Priest and Dom and it was nice to see Priest beat Dom for the win. But there was just lots going on, and kind of planting seeds here and there, and like everybody came out of it a little bit better. But Damian Priest came out looking like, one, he got his redemption after some fuckery the week prior. Sorry, Dave. And two, we get to see Priest and Gunther run it back, because Priest is 45 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
So like he's on his way out. Not necessarily exactly, but like he's not. By the time
he's on like hole 11.
Yeah, he's on hole 11. Yeah, hole 11 or 12. So 5 years from now, the man's going to be like 50, and he'll be maybe managing somebody. Maybe he'll be managing Lola Vice. Maybe he'll be her voice, because we shouldn't let her talk. I'm just trying to tie the show up into a nice little bow here.
You did a good job there, Bob.
Anyway, but what was your match?
I guess I'll just have to learn Chinese.
Can you get this canceled, man? Come on, Carlito hasn't been back. It's been 3 weeks now.
It is what it is, pal. My match of the week was Adam Cole, baby, versus Malachi Black.
It was a fun little match.
It was a fun little match. It
Great main event.
It wasn't the cleanest thing in the world. They definitely had some issues in their chain wrestling. But I appreciated the fact that was Malachi Black's first singles match since, I don't know, like what, 2022, I think they said.
22.
Something like that. It was a long time. And
22 is like, even if that's the case, like 2 years in only wrestling like tag team matches, like
that being the caliber of star of Malachi Black.
Yeah, that didn't even happen to the New Day.
No.
When they were a trio, like occasionally, not even occasionally, like once a month, somebody had a singles match.
And I think for me, the biggest piece of that was the crowd's appreciation of Malachi Black, right? Like knowing that he deserves better than he's getting, and to give him that love. I don't know, maybe that was just Adam Cole going into business for himself and saying, "Hey, Tony Khan, you need to open your fucking eyes because this guy's a star." I don't know.
He's a star, and you're gonna lose him.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but if it was a retirement, if it was a, hey, I'm leaving AEW, whatever it was, even though he said he's not going anywhere, there was something. And if it was just simply a call to action for Tony Khan, I think Tony Khan needs to open his eyes and listen to that call to action. So that was my match of the week.
Legit.
Hey Tom, I'm just we're getting late here, and
I thought you weren't going to make me do this, but okay.
I'm not. I'm going to give you the option.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take the option.
I just wanted to know if you would like to speak on the happenings of last week. Because I know, and our audience knows how heavily invested you are. Is there anything that you would like to say at this time?
Donald Trump still needs to be removed from the WWE Hall of Fame. And on top of that, I hope that everybody gets what they want, right? I hope that I hope I'm wrong. God, do I hope I'm wrong. I have hoped that I was wrong every time I have remembered what happened on Tuesday. I hoped that maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe it's not going to fuck everything up. That being said, I haven't been wrong yet. Yeah, I sit on the losing side. But I'm not sure. I'm still not convinced I'm the wrong side. Little Firefly reference for everybody there. Look, America voted overwhelmingly to reinstall Donald Trump as the president of the United States. I think that's a mistake. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he proves me wrong. I want this country to succeed. I live here. I fucking clearly do. That being said, I think this is a catastrophic failure. I think that we're going to, I think we're going to have a hard time here. Maybe not immediately, but I think here, probably in the next year and a half or two, we're going to be having a hard time here. And depending on what he gets done, what happens, and how things shake out, I think poor leadership sits ahead. And I think that it's really more of a time for us to kind of sit back and consider, how we got here, why we got here, and who the fuck would want to do this stupid job anyway, right? So I think that it's important to, say that I hope that I'm wrong. I don't think I'm gonna, but I think some hard times are ahead, and I hope they're not.
Well done, sir. Well done.
And spay and neuter your cats. Maybe
Okay,
your children. Who knows?
Calm down, Bob. Bob Barker, ladies and gentlemen.
R.I.P.
No doubt. All right, man. That was fun. Took a little bit longer than I think either of us anticipated, but sometimes
there was there was a lot of clips, a lot of things to touch on.
And we had a lot of strong opinions this week, my friend. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and get up on out of here. Hey man, if you're still hanging out with us, man, we appreciate it. And you hit that thumbs up button, it'd be great. Check us out over on Twitter and Instagram at @1_FallWC. That's ONE. As always, thanks for hanging out. It's all love. We'll catch you next week. One Fall WrestleCast.